Welcome back to the KitPlus TV show, which is supported by Mediaproxy. Now, we recently spoke to someone who made the brave decision to launch a new studio during the lockdown.
Yeah, and he also launched a new product. And so we'd like to welcome back into the studio Ben Baldwin, who's going to tell us a bit more about the Clearboard solution that they've launched. Hi, Ben. So what's all this Clearboard? What's it all about? What is it?
Hi, chaps. Good to see you again. So Clearboard, think of it as a forward-facing whiteboard. So anything that you write on a whiteboard or on a flip chart, we can use on the Clearboard. But it's basically a piece of glass that sits between the presenter and the camera. So it means that you never lose eye contact with your subject. So we're talking, systems diagrams, mind maps, flow charts, anything kind of like that. It's a great way of either making complicated things simple or making the simpler simple. Its effectiveness really is in its simplicity.
So what was the driving force behind making this solution? What made you do it?
Well, we were using it with one of our training clients, actually. And in fact, I can show you because I can roll this in for you.
Yeah.
And
That'd be cool.
Basically, Ford Rock do cloud-based solutions, and at the minute, this guy's basically sketching out a very simple diagram of how all the different apps and things work with the users. Of course, you can get way more complex with it. And what we were doing was using, we started off by actually using a whiteboard, so a couple of cameras, but the problem with that was every time we did anything, he had to have his back to the audience. Yeah. And then as we kind of developed the training with them, we moved to, your sort of iPad or your Dell tablet. But the problem with those is once you've drawn on them, you can't back reference anything. So we'd finally be drawing a diagram and saying, oh, what about this point here and this thing here? And then all of a sudden, you've just got this absolute mess on the page and it's confusing the viewer. So we had a little think about it. We thought of different ways. So wouldn't it be cool if you could have something that was clear that you could write on, that was essentially a window? And we set about buying a piece of glass, sticking it into a window frame and seeing how you could light it. And it kind of went from there. So we've been using it with this client for 3 or 4 years, and then a couple of other people saying, why aren't you doing anything else with it? Then this pandemic came along and just got it set up in the garage come granny flat. Not that granny sleeps in the garage, that sounds wrong, doesn't it? But anyway, in the converted garage, which is now a granny flat, had it set up on the bed and just started to refine it and get it better and start introducing graphics to it and introducing video to it as well.
Are you targeting this at a particular, I mean, obviously your clients, but is it particularly education or particularly corporate, or is it just anyone who wants to communicate something?
It's an interesting question because when we've been looking at the target market for it, to start off with, it was people with systems. But the range of people that have used it, anyone from broadcasters drawing out systems diagrams, the cybersecurity companies have used it for mapping out and demonstrating, where files walls should be and where complications and where, their endpoints aren't protected, that kind of thing, all the way through to Hazel, who's in the office next door, and she is a herbalist, acupuncturist, and she's demonstrated it, some of her different treatments on there as well. So it is really wide, but in short, it's really about training, for training materials, making training simple for people and keeping that engagement with the audience. And also, it can be used as an antidote to death by PowerPoint as well, because we can run PowerPoint slides on there. So it's not a great leap for any client to say that we want to turn all these fancy graphics. We can actually run the PowerPoint with it, and they can interact with those slides on the Clearboard as well. So they can bring those PowerPoint decks to life, and not just have to sit in a small box in the corner of the screen and work with it that way. So it's as if all the information's there in front of them.
So Ben, I'm intrigued at the technology behind this. Clearly the guy that you just demonstrated writing on it wasn't writing backwards. Are you flipping something, or what's the technology going on behind the glass?
You see, the fun thing is telling clients that they need to learn how to write backwards. let them scratch their heads over that one for a bit. But actually, no, you're right. There is a flip involved, and the flip can be popped in there in real time or in post production. So the other great thing with this is, as well as pre-record, we can actually do stuff over video call as well, which is great, obviously, for those shorter little snippets and bringing your Zoom call to life. But effectively, it's a simple horizontal flip.
So they've just got to be aware not to wear any logoed T-shirts and stuff like that.
Well, if you have a look at this one, I managed to remind myself, and a frantic phone call to my friend and presenter there, Matthias, saying, "Have you had your T-shirts printed yet?" He said no. I said, "Great, get them done backwards." And then ensued a 20-minute conversation with him as to trying to explain why I needed him to print them backwards.
Excellent.
Fair enough. Is it mobile? Do I have to come to you to do it, or can you set it up elsewhere?
So it's better off in a studio because it's the bigger version. The one that's behind the wall here is a 6 foot by 4 foot piece of glass, and it's very, very heavy. But we do have two mobile solutions. One is actually desktop mounted, and one is a little bit bigger. But the big thing with it, with a white background, is actually having it in a controlled environment so that you can get the lighting just right. And that's the thing that we've worked really hard on and tweaked on to get the white background. It'll work with a black background as well, and you can use neon pens. But a lot of clients just didn't like that whole, after watching it for quite a while, if you're watching long form training, which is some of the stuff that we do, you just start, it doesn't feel like great. Whereas on the white background, it looks a lot cleaner and crisper. So yes, in short, we can go mobile.
I guess we sort of know the answer to this, but I mean, is it a service only, or can I buy my own or make my own? I guess it's sort of like the benefits of using your services is that you're going to get that crisp background and it's going to be well lit, etc.
Exactly that. We've got a prototype of the desktop one that we started to look at towards the end of lockdown 1, and it's something that we've just not developed that quick yet. But it is, for anyone that's looking for the solution for themselves to have set up permanently, it is something that we can provide and something we can advise on. But again, that's better if you've got a small studio, or if you're, if you've got a setup at home that's there all the time, so we can advise and help and tweak on it. So you're not having to, tweak and get it right every time when you move around.
Yeah. So once you've got it right, controlled environment. Where can people go to find out more info before we close up?
Go to our website, chuffed.video. That's chuffed.video and /Clearboard on the end if it's the Clearboard you're specifically looking at.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much, Ben, and thanks for watching the show today, which is brought to you with the support of Mediaproxy. You can find out more about them at mediaproxy.com. See you next time.